of my choice, beneath my sorrows, lives in peace.
Last week, we reflected on the spiritual teaching of St. Francis de Sales, which encourages us to dwell in Christ's heart and to trust in the mysterious workings of his grace. His words are so powerful even today. This week, we arrive at the place and the person most commonly associated with the Sacred Heart, St. Margaret Mary Alacoque, who had numerous apparitions of the Sacred Heart at Paris-le-Monial in the end of the 17th century. In the first apparition, Jesus told Margaret Mary, "My divine heart is so inflamed with love for men, and for you in particular, that no longer able to contain it in itself the flames of its ardent charity, it must pour them out through you and be manifested to them in order to enrich them with its precious treasures, which I now reveal to you." St. Margaret Mary's account is deeply moving. He revealed to me the wonders of his love and the inexplicable secrets of his divine heart, which he had hitherto kept hidden from me, until he opened it to me for the first time in such a striking and sensible manner that he left me no room for doubt. He revealed to me the ineffable wonders of his pure love and to what extremes it had led him to love mankind. Pope Francis writes that the powerful realization of the love of Christ bequeathed to us by St. Margaret Mary can spur us to greater union with him. He encourages us not to get caught up in every detail of Margaret Mary's spiritual experiences, but to retain the core of the message handed on to her. This is the heart that so loved human beings that it has spared nothing, even to emptying and consuming itself, in order to show them its love. In a letter to another religious sister, Margaret Mary wrote, "It is necessary that the divine heart of Jesus in some way replace our own, that he alone live and work in us and for us, that his will work absolutely and without any resistance on our part, and finally that its affections, thoughts, and desires take the place of our own, especially his love, so that he is loved in himself and for our sakes." And so this lovable heart being our all in all, we can say with St. Paul that we no longer live our own lives, but it is he who lives within us. In her autobiography, she wrote, "He asked for my heart, which I asked him to take, which he did, and then placed myself in his own adorable heart, from which he made me see mine like a little atom consumed in the fiery furnace of his own." Such powerful words and such a beautiful image. I can imagine that if Christ appeared to me and asked me for my heart, I would probably collapse in disbelief, but then I would hand it over to him. I mean, how could I refuse God? But what does it really mean to give him our heart? This is something to ponder deeply and personally. What does it mean to give him my heart and to allow him to live and work in me? What does it look like for me in the concrete details of my life? These are good points to ponder in prayer. At another point, we see that the one who gives himself to us is the risen and glorified Christ, full of life and light. If indeed at different times he spoke of the suffering that he endured for our sake and of the ingratitude with which it is met, what we see here are not so much his blood and painful wounds, but rather the light and fire of the Lord of life. The wounds of the passion have not disappeared, but are now transfigured. Here we see the Paschal mystery in all its splendor. Once, when the Blessed Sacrament was exposed, Jesus appeared resplendent in glory with his 5 wounds that appeared as so many suns blazing forth from his sacred humanity, but above all, from his adorable breast, which seemed a fiery furnace. Opening his robe, he revealed his most loving and lovable heart, which was the living source of those flames. Then it was that I discovered the ineffable wonders of his pure love, with which he loves men to the utmost, yet receives them from them only in gratitude and indifference. Behold this heart, which has so loved men that it has spared nothing, even to exhausting and consuming itself, in order to testify its love. In return, I receive from the greater part only ingratitude by their irreverence and sacrileges, and by the coldness and contempt they have for me in the sacrament of love. I come into the heart I have given you in order that through your fervor you may atone for the offenses which I have received from lukewarm and slothful hearts that dishonor me in the blessed sacrament. So we see that with St. Margaret Mary Alacoque, devotion to the Sacred Heart takes on more of a motive of reparation for those who do not appreciate Christ's love, especially in the Blessed Sacrament. Sister Margaret could console Jesus and by her love make reparation for the tepidness of other religious. Jesus asked her to come before the tabernacle an hour before midnight every first Thursday of the month and keep him company while lying prostrate on the floor. The next day, he said, she was to receive Holy Communion in reparation for the lukewarmness of the whole Catholic world. More frequent and more fervent communion was another request given by the Sacred Heart to her to announce to the bishops of the Universal Church. Our congregation, and I'm sure many others, have continued this tradition of the Holy Hour of Reparation every first Thursday of the month. I have to admit that we don't do it lying prostrate on the floor, but we are faithful to this monthly practice. This week, let's all do an examination of conscience, asking ourselves if perhaps our love for Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament has grown lukewarm or nonchalant. And if so, let's make a resolution to reverse course.